Welcome back to Andrew's Garage. Now I'm kind of bringing it back to where it all started. Now this was before I got the space in the barn. So I was doing work out of my house garage, which as you can see, it's still not finished. But so I'm building a motor in here. I decided where's the cleanest spot. I was either in the basement or the attached garage. And I decided to go with the attached garage just for the fact of getting out of the basement would be kind of a pain. So here it is in the corner, and basically right now I'm starting the process of gapping my rings. Now I've already have this one gap, so this is the top ring, and I've already got it set here for 24 thou. So that is the top ring, and the second one is 26 thou. And then we also have to check our oil ring. But basically I'm just going through and starting the process. So the last one I did was actually, it started at 22, so it wasn't too far off, and we're kind of just working our way around. So going here, number 3, you can just kind of squeeze it together and push it in, and you can rotate it around. Now I don't have a snazzy tool to set this, so it's kind of going to be hard, but I use this lip here to be the judge for the depth. So basically, might be hard to do with one hand, but kind of get it set to that depth. Go to the other side, and once you get them lined up, depth is set, and then you come through here, and then you want to check it. So it's a little too tight. It's kind of like the other one was, so it's probably around the same. So it's probably around 22. So I'll open it up to 24, and I'm using this manual grinder here. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to lay your hand on there, make sure it's clamped down, and then you're going to squeeze them rings together, or squeeze the ring together. So you squeeze it down to your contact in it, and this is 170 grit, I think. So it still cuts it pretty quick. But so anyway, you set it against those 2 pins there, and then you squeeze it together, and then you want to make sure you turn this backwards, because that's trying to pull your rings down, and it'd be hard to try to hold that, turn it the other direction, and make sure your rings aren't trying to come up in the air. So you always want to run that guy backwards. So basically it's just going to be a whole lot of putting them in, checking them, taking them back out, grinding, putting them in, checking them, taking them back out, and grinding. So I'll get a little area set up here where I can start running them down in line. So I'll do 1 3 5 7, then 2 4 6 8. So I'll get them set up on the table, get them ready for installation. So I'll go ahead and get the camera set up, and we'll start working on the ring gaps. Alright, so now that I have the top ring and bottom ring gapped, and I also checked the clearance for the oil rings, make sure it was enough, and they were good. So anyways, so now I'm going to start installing them, because I got them in order laid out on the table. I'm going to go ahead and get them installed on each piston, and I went ahead and engraved these before I pulled the motor apart, so I know where everything goes. But basically what you want to do is This is called your expander, right? So you want to make sure those grooves toe up towards the top of the piston. It's kind of hard to see. I don't know if it'll focus or not, but that lip that goes up, both of them should be going up in the air like that, and that goes towards the top of your piston. So I'm going to grab number 1 here. I'm just going to feed it into the groove. Remember, with that lip facing up, just like so. I'm going to grab one of the rails and start with your bottom one and just kind of work your way around. Just like so. Got one in. And there's the second one. So that went on smooth, and I don't have a ring expander. And then also on this set of rings here, it's labeled up, so that would be the second ring. And I know that because the first ring does not have anything marked on either side, so it can go either way. But this I know is the second ring. And it's got a little bit of a burr in it, so I'm going to knock it off real quick. All right, so now for the second ring. Basically the same as everything else. Kind of gonna roll it around. And there she is. Second ring installed. And then number 1 ring here. Head started in the groove. Kind of just work my way around. Now, I'm not going to worry about the orientation of these right now. I'm going to go ahead and spin it around because you want them 180 from each other. You don't want any gases going in between and pushing their way through and having an easy passage. So you always want to make sure your rings are 180 out. So if you look from the top, you can see the gap and the gap. So those are 180 out. So that's what you want. Now I'm going to double check them before I install these pistons in. But for now, there is one piston with rings installed. Alright, so just like that, you saw me finish up the last bit of them. So now all the rings are gapped. Everything is checked, everything checks out good. Tomorrow, I'm gonna start with these bearings and get the crank assembled and try to get at least the crank rods and pistons installed. I'm still waiting on my cam yet, but at least I can do is get that part done. So I need to stop and get some assembly lube and get a little bit of oil to soak the pistons in before we install. So getting close, I'm getting excited, but that's it for tonight, and we'll pick up tomorrow night. All right, well, it's the next morning, and woke up early, went up to Hobo Freight, got some stuff I needed, and now it is time for main bearing installation and main bearing cap installation. So we'll see how this goes, but it should be fun. Alright, so I think I'm going to split this video up into two. So I'm going to stop it here pretty much with the short block. And in part 2, you'll see me putting the oil pump in, and lifters, and rockers, and heads, and all that stuff, taping off, and shooting it with some paint. But I think that's where I'm going to call it for today's video. So thanks for watching Angel's Garage. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.